few weekends ago, I went down to Cardiff to visit my friend, fellow reviewer and stand-up comedian Craig MacDonald in his lovely Welsh farm. The other reason for this visit was, of course, to see the Doctor Who experience. We looked at sets, costumes and props. Oh look, it's the Doctor's confession dial. And even visited a real-life shrine to the fictional character Yanto from the spin-off show Torchwood. However, returning to Craig's home, I decided it would be a good idea to talk about how we both view the women of Doctor Who. So I'm here at the Feminist Baker. I'm here with my friend Craig.
Hello. I work as part of a four-person ensemble on a podcast called Film Talk.
Would you mind if I was not chronological and brought up the thing I said I wanted to bring up?
Yeah, go for it.
Clara. Why does everyone hate Clara so much?
I've never found Clara that bad. I mean, I was disappointed that, her first appearance as, the Dalek, she had a lot more... She had a lot more personality and, more spirit than she has when she's an actual companion. But I've never seen any reason to, hate her to the magnitude that many people do.
Yeah, I have known people who have said, I cannot wait until Clara dies. And there was a rumour that Jenna Coleman was leaving the show, and then she didn't, and I had friends who were very upset that she didn't leave. I think my personal criticism is that I think that she was far too similar, to the Matt Smith Doctor in being sort of very bubbly, rapid, sort of snark fest, quick-fire wit, and also she was quite similar to Amy in that same way, sort of, again, that beautiful, fast-talking, slightly clever, quite sexy girl. I think people just found her quite bland, and especially because people were so emotionally invested in Amy and Rory, then to have someone who was so similar, it would have been better if they had someone a bit more distinct.
I think the idea of it being trying to set up ready for the kind of Doctor they knew that Capaldi was going to be, so obviously quite dry and harsh, just hopefully trying to set it up in terms of that dynamic working, but I think it kind of backfired when they just have her and Matt Smith together, just
Yeah, and then they did the sort of, the whole oh, I'm not your boyfriend thing, which I don't think was necessary. I really wish that they just could have dropped that.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it was necessary to even address that, because we've had so many people being in love with the Doctor now that it's a bit dull. Which is why I like Donna so much.
You just want to mate.
Donna is definitely one of the best.
Yeah, Catherine Tate is a fantastic comic actress. I loved Donna for just being so different and so not attracted to the Doctor.
You're not mating with me, sunshine.
That's the thing, they just had a different relationship that we hadn't seen. It wasn't one driven by relationship, but it was just general friendship. Look, we make each other better in this relationship, so let's just carry on our lives doing this. Just didn't go through any unnecessary, A, heartbreak with Rose, or B, just torture with Martha.
Yes. Let's talk about Martha, because that's the one that you feel particularly hard done by.
She's just been systematically screwed by the show. She's just, every time you see her in any appearance, whether that be in Doctor Who or in Torchwood, she's always framed in perspective of whatever relationships she's pursuing.
Oh, yeah?
So it's always a case of, she's pining for feelings with the Doctor, and then when she's in Torchwood, she's then engaged to the Doctor that she was engaged to that Doctor that she met via the tour. But then something happened, and then she gets married to Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey. Yeah, I remember her being with Mickey.
She was definitely
Get Rose's scraps.
Yeah, so she's always been framed in that perspective. It's never been a case of this is her own person. It's always a case of what relationship can she pursue, as well as just oh, I'm actually a medical doctor. So she just was never given a shot.
It doesn't help that one of the best Martha era episodes is Blink, which she's not actually in. Well, except for maybe 5 seconds of screen time.
Yeah, she literally has no place in that episode, which makes it worse.
Well, neither does the Doctor, and it's a unique story that way, but to say that the best episode of the season is the one which Martha isn't really in, it's quite harsh. Rose, I never liked Rose. I was not into Rose, but also I was not into the Eccleston era. So like from the get-go, I wasn't a big fan.
So I mean, probably for the wrong reasons. I do like Rose, but that's more of a Billy Piper thing more than anything else. I thought the character was fine. I thought like just in terms of the Doctor at that point, that would be the kind of woman he would be like into. So I did buy into that relationship a lot more, as well as just them being good for each other. So like Rose being like quite more compassionate, as well as like him just being a positive influence on what would have been a lowbrow life sort of thing.
I mean, I kind of think that I think she's as dull as Clara. Actually, I don't think she's very interesting as a character.
I can understand that.
Like, I never really got into it. And everyone sort of goes on about how Rose is this great, strong character, and like, she has some depth.
I mean,
but, she kind of just follows the Doctor around a bit and is in love with him.
I mean, for me, it was more of a case of I thought like that was the strongest relationship. Yeah, I'd probably agree as a character on her own. Probably not, but then obviously I have like sorry for the pun, but rose-tinted glasses.
Lots of people liked Amy because she was pretty gorgeous.
Yeah.
She's quite a good-looking woman. I really hated that she was introduced as a kissogram.
Yeah, that's not good.
Basically like a PG-13 version of a prostitute, because Moffat wanted to spice it up.
I think early on she grated on me because like it was still very much the beginning of like, are her and Rory really that much of a thing? Yeah. So like there was this thing with the Doctor. So I think once the overall motif moved past that, and it was just about like just seeing how she deals with like married life whilst also being a travelling companion. I thought she was like quite entertaining, although I do see like Amy and Rory as a unit. So
I do, but I also think that like I am a Moffat apologist. I do think that he went downhill later on, but the characterization of Amy being this girl who meets the Doctor as a child, grows up idolising him, grows up having her friends and family tell her she's delusional.
Yeah.
And that massively shapes her perception of him, and she idolises him, and then it's extra heartbreaking when he lets her down.
Yeah.
Things like that. I think that there's so much more character depth to her than a lot of other companions have had.
Oh yeah, definitely. Just the fact that a lot of the story as well requires her to like systematically have that image like broken down. Probably one of my favourite episodes of that era. I can't remember the name of it, but it's when Amy gets trapped behind in the facility.
In the hospital,
in the hospital with the hand robots.
That is, that's an excellent episode.
Just the fact that a version of her has to systematically watch the Doctor betray her in such a manner.
Yeah. And then she does choose Rory in the end.
Yeah.
And goes to be with him in the 1920s. I'd really love there to be like a spin-off series of books about her being an editor in a New York publishing house, living with Rory. And then River Song. I personally love River Song. I know
She's
a lot of
fantastic.
people don't like her. I'm a big River Song fan.
Yeah, definitely. Like why not?
I think she grates for some people in much the same way that we've been talking about, like all of the people fancying the Doctor.
Yeah.
But I loved her.
Yeah,
oh
but
my god, she knows him. He doesn't know her.
Out of all the people who like the Doctor, she literally handles it probably the best, which is just she's not pining. She just has an active relationship with him, which is fine. Like, there are going to be some scenes where like it's but then obviously there are going to be some episodes where it was just great and dynamic.
Yeah, I loved it, and of all of the romances that the Doctor has had, that was the one I found most heartbreaking and believable, and
Yeah, I think it's just the best explored, because like not really seen any relationship of that manner done to this extent, right?
Moffat has a theme with his women. They are all sexy, kind of quick-witted. They're sexy badasses, you know. They can always do a bit of fighting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there doesn't seem to be a huge amount of variety in his women.
There really isn't.
It's a good thing that River Song...
Spoilers!
...is related to Amy, otherwise it would just seem annoyingly ridiculous that they were so similar. Madame Vastra.
Yeah, Vastra, that's it.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They definitely follow your trope of sorts.
Yeah, and like... Moffat wants to seem all progressive with his like, oh, look at this modern lesbian couple. But he also massively overemphasises the sort of titillating factor and has scenes of Vastra painting Jenny naked and lots of sort of tee-hee sex jokes. Clara keeps on talking about how she like has made out with Jane Austen. Just like, it's just like, it's just the most lazy sort of, ooh, titillating lesbianism. Whereas Moffat, I swear, is just being like, look how liberal I am. Like, are you?
Like, it's not. Like, to the extent that you only treat these progressive ideas in a sexualised way, you are just continuing aspects of the sexualisation of women. It just doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Missy, as well, again, is kind of like all the other women.
Yeah.
Except she's a bit crazier. Like, Missy is like an evil river song.
Her actions are always trying to remind you, like, no, this is just the master we're talking about now. So I think in that sense, like, Missy is treated more as a person rather than a gender of sorts.
Yeah, or even if she's not sexualised, she's still got that sort of, she just has a lot of the same sort of mannerisms of the other Moffat women. What are your thoughts on a female doctor? Do you think it's high time we had one?
I personally think it would be a good thing at this point. I think it would be like a really interesting thing to explore at this point.
It is becoming stale because it was rebooted in 2005, right?
Yeah.
So it's been on TV again for 11 years.
11 years.
It needs a new breath of fresh air, and I think having a female doctor, and you could do so much playing with that transformation. I have an idea in my head of like the female doctor going into her wardrobe and like looking through all of the old men's clothes that she had and like trying to compiling an outfit for herself out of these men's clothes, like really huge things. I just think that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
And possibly having a new dynamic of her with a male companion. I just think there's so much different that you could do.
Do you have any ideas about who you'd like?
Oh, there are so many people who I would love. Emily Blunt is probably my favourite. I really like the idea of a kind of a sort of bossy, mother-ish figure, but not too motherly, just sort of like, oh, don't be ridiculous. Just someone who like sorts out things in the universe very easily.
Yeah,
just like, oh, for God's sake, just stop talking, Dalek.
Like, I never really considered Emily Blunt. I think that would be a great choice. But like, I remember somebody just like putting I think it was a news article that put in my head that I'd really want Sue Perkins.
Oh, that should be excellent.
Yeah.
Bring out the dancing girls and the orange segments.
Should be so good. Oh, Sue Perkins, or I very much doubt you could go for Maggie Smith. She's too iconically McGonagall for so many people. But you could get an older actress to do it as well.
Yeah.
I think it'd be so much fun. So, I think that's all there is to say really on women in Doctor Who in this sort of short edition. Thank you, Craig. I will put links in the thingy. I'm going to go watch some YouTube now, probably. Toodaloo.
All right, thank you very much.